Coming to you live from my brother's apartment where the Wi-Fi is good. It's WrestleZone! I am Kevin Kellam. We're right after AEW and WWE NXT. We're going to get into all of it tonight. A lot to talk about. A lot going on in the world outside of the wrestling ring, away from the Performance Center and Daly's Place, and all the wrestling that we're watching. A lot to cover. And we're going to have as much fun as we can with everything going on. Obviously, we will address those things, and we hope you are safe and letting your voice be heard from wherever you are. All right, if you're with us live, this is WrestleZone Daily, following up AEW and WWE NXT. Iridian Fierro from WrestFriends is with us. Iridian, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Hello, RestFriend.
Hi, RestFriend.
We're getting that. I'm RestMan. Am I a RestMan? In the city where WrestleMania was supposed to be this year, he is in your bottom left-hand corner there. I'm talking to one, the only Mr. Robert, the Fun Killer DeFelice is with us. Robert, how are you? You're wearing your "It's the Worst Town" sweatshirt from SCU.
Yeah, it's not a great town, but we were supposed to get WrestleMania. We didn't. Oh well. How are you guys tonight?
We got a lot to get into, but as always, when we're live with you guys, especially here on Facebook Live, you get your comments on screen. Melly Mel saying NXT was the better show tonight. What did you think was the better show tonight? You can go ahead and tell us if you watch both. I just watch NXT. These other guys, they watch AEW. So you have a full spectrum of stuff going on in the show. So we'll cover it here as in-depth as we can. Let's get into AEW first, and then we'll cover NXT after that. NXT had some big stuff tonight. Drake Maverick, he may have not won a title, but he has won his job back. A feel-good ending to NXT no matter what. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but tell me about AEW tonight. Who wants to start?
I'll let Iridian go first.
Oh, well, what a gentleman.
Oh, yeah, you're so polite today. What is this? What is
it's
this?
Getting started early!
I don't know what this is. I have never experienced this gentleman's side. Robert.
The world is bad enough. I'm trying to be good to balance it out. It's karma. It's yin yang.
That's your excuse? Go
ahead,
Robert.
Okay, I'll take it. Well, AEW started off with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page putting their championship belts on the line versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. And I thought this match was really, really great. I didn't see Jimmy and Kip working out, but they have really good chemistry. And Penelope, I think she adds a much needed spunk to that team. And she had a moment with Hangman in the ring, and I thought it was good. I mean, it got her thrown out, but I thought it was a really, really great match. Robert, what'd you think about it?
I thought it was the best match I saw all night. I think tag team wrestling is alive and well. There's a lot of flagrant, just disregarding of the tag team format. I think that was just to piss off one FTR who was sitting in the crowd because they stand for tag team wrestling. I believe it was Cash Wheeler tweeted out tag ropes. Just 2 words, tag ropes, because nobody was just abiding by the rules.
No one respects the tag ropes anymore. You gotta hold that rope until you get the tag.
But that's okay. Omega and Hangman, 2 dapper-looking individuals, just forming a unit for the greater good. And they won with the last call, which is the buckshot and the V-trigger. And, I like the Super Bad Squad. They're good dudes. They live together. That's why they have such good chemistry. It's like a funky reality show that we don't get access to. But I like it,
Three's Company tag team.
I mean, really.
Colt Cabana was in the ring with Chris Jericho. This is a huge match for him.
It was probably the best match that he's had on AEW. Chris, oh my God.
It appears we might have lost Iridian.
All right. Well, hopefully she'll rejoin us here in a minute. Tell me what's going on here, buddy.
So Jericho did fight Cabana. First time ever, maybe the only time ever. Who knows? I thought, and I've loved Jericho from the minute he stepped foot in New Japan with Kenny. I thought he looked a step off in this one. But maybe that's because he's never been in the ring with Cabana. And they're not they don't have a younger guy to lead them through with the quickening of the pace. It just seemed a little clunky. That's not to say it was bad. It just seemed a little off for me. Jericho wins with the Judas effect. calls out the baddest man on the planet, and Lord, wouldn't you know it, Orange Cassidy walks through the entrance tunnel, and he puts Jericho's hands in his pockets, which was just inside of his belt because he doesn't have pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts his own hand in his pockets, punks out the inner circle, goes into the crowd, leaves with best friends. I like where we're going. I want to see more of Cassidy and Jericho. Iridian, you're back.
There we go. There you are. There we are. So, Iridian, what did you think of this Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho? Last week, it looked like we were going to get this huge match with Mike Tyson and Chris Jericho. And then we get him versus the most over comedy act in wrestling right now, Orange Cassidy. Is this the right move? It was entertaining.
Yeah,
everything I saw about it was entertaining. But, I mean, you told us we were getting Tyson versus Jericho. Now you go in this other direction. I don't mind the curveball. The curveball is quite interesting. But is this just a breaking point until we get, Jericho versus Tyson at some point?
Yeah, well, Chris was still addressing it. He still said that he wanted Mike Tyson, but Chris Jericho did call out the baddest person on the planet, and Orange Cassidy coming out, I feel like that was valid. He's amazing. I'm excited for next week for the match that they announced with Best Friends and, the Inner Circle.
But is Orange Cassidy, he is a bad man, but is he a bad man? Do you know what I mean? Like, how bad can Orange Cassidy get? I'm not a fan of bad oranges. Once the orange starts to go a little bit, I throw it in the trash.
Robert, we get it. Okay, Robert, it took you 20 seconds, and that joke was deader than it needed to be. Yeah. Okay, we get it. A bad orange or a bad apple. Okay, cool. So moving on, the thing about this that I think we always are going to get reminded, because I think with Orange Cassidy, so much of it is just what he's not doing and how much of a character he is. But at Revolution, we saw that this guy can go. I mean, the match he had with Pac was maybe the best match on the pay-per-view outside of the main event. And so he still has it. He's always had it. But I mean, talk about a guy who doesn't have to work nearly as hard as everyone else, just has to come out and do his gimmick stuff. And that doesn't have to do the things that like a guy like Phoenix had to do and nearly break his leg getting into the ring or getting out of the ring and flying on people. What other highlights did we get from AEW this week?
Well, I see it in the comments here. Tully Blanchard gave Shawn Spears a black glove.
That was so weird.
It's one of those things that really shows what I'm going to assume is Cody Rhodes' affinity, for a lack of a better term, for the National Wrestling Alliance. And it's that old, like, Barry Windham wore a black glove when he was in the Four Horsemen. Ted DiBiase had a black glove for a while. It's just an old school gimmick. I have a feeling we're going to get Spears getting handed many old school gimmicks before he just finds who he is as an individual. I don't think it's going to be like, we give him a black glove, now he's going to be as badass as Barry Windham. But who knows? Maybe it works for him. I'm all for Shawn Spears being a badass.
Yeah, and the commentary addressed it too. They were like, oh, could this possibly be a character change? And I was like, come on, guys. Clearly.
Somebody wanted to know how I felt about JR. I like JR tonight. JR is cool.
You've had beef with JR for weeks.
Well, beef goes great with barbecue sauce, Kevin.
Oh, there you go. Just always slick Robbie, just getting out of something. Once it gets caught, he's going to get out of the hold. Let's also talk about some other big things here. We got some more developments with Cody in the TNT Championship. Who wants to touch on that?
It's still ugly.
It is still ugly. I must. That is worth saying. It was ugly. What busted him open? I turned my head.
Okay, that was so confusing. So Jungle Boy threw him up against the wall, and then the camera turns to Jungle Boy fighting ringside with MJF. Next thing you know, the camera turns back. Cody's busted open. Half of his face is bloodied. There was a lot.
It was so out of place because it was a standard face smash into the wall, and it wasn't like, oh man, they caught him. It was just full on. I'm a Rhodes. It's a title match. I'm gonna bleed because that's what daddy would do. Like, this is just full on, like, this is what my daddy would do.
Robert.
This is what I'm gonna do.
Robert going after the bloodline. He's going after the roads, dude. He's going after the families, the NWA.
I asked this question in our group chat.
I don't think Robert's going to give this show a good rating tonight. What do you think, Iridian?
Oh my god, I think he's going to give it like a 4.
Do you guys think that,
him.
like, when Dustin and Cody, when they go to shave their faces, when they see the razor blade, you think their pants shrink a little bit? Like, these guys love to bleed. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I feel like you talked very negatively about that whole situation. I was just a little confused.
He didn't like it. Iridian, I'm not defending him, but he didn't like it. Okay, so he wasn't fond of it.
Clearly, he really went after that.
I didn't even say I didn't like it. It just feels like, Cody, I get it, bro. You like the National Wrestling Alliance, but it's also not. It's not.
They're trying to make him the bloody champion or something. They said it in commentary, so I think that's going to be like his thing. Now that he's going to bleed every now and then in a couple matches.
Raul Fentes is texting in. Raul Fentes wants to know your thoughts on Jungle Boy's matches being on fire. Another good hot performance here tonight from Jungle Boy. Come on,
he is so beautiful.
Iridian, let's be professional.
Okay.
Iridian, let's be professional.
I understand be professional. I know it's so hard.
I understand there's
very difficult.
An animal attraction. The man is from the jungle. All right. Apparently, they have hairless men in the jungle, but they have long manes of hair on their head. No hair on the body, but hairless men running around the jungle.
That's how those Beverly Hills. That's how those Beverly Hills jungles work, Kevin. You don't understand.
That's a different jungle. Okay, it's a different jungle. Right.
I will say this. I have many friends who just love themselves some Jungle Boy, and it works. It works, and I think he's going to be a big star.
Matt
he's having great matches.
I guess Jungle Boy and Cody understand a lot of fans. Matt Messina texting in saying, I love the match. Chill, Robert. Chill.
Yeah, Robert,
you're being a bit aggressive. That's what Matt says. If you think Robert is being aggressive, jump into the chat and let us know if we should deal with aggressive Robert.
Hashtag Robert aggressive. Right, put it in the chat. Put it in the comment section.
I am good with
hashtag Robert aggressive. Okay.
I don't think that I am being aggressive for wanting Cody Rhodes to take care of himself and not bleed so much. That is all I'm asking.
I don't know. Like 2 minutes ago, you were yelling about the whole situation, Robert.
Yeah.
I worry about Cody. I worry about him.
Okay.
I worry about you sometimes.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, let us know if you think Robert is being too aggressive here. Steve Chambers texting in saying Mox confronted Cage after a cage squash match. We're getting Fighter Fest not on BR Live, not a pay-per-view. It'll be cut over 2 weeks and will air on AEW Dynamite. This is something that Impact has been doing and something that NXT had to do. They moved all the big takeover matches to television with the pandemic. What do you think of this move by AEW not to do this as a pay-per-view, especially when we heard some positive things about the possible buy rate coming out of Double or Nothing a few weeks ago?
I'm excited for not having to pay for another pay-per-view. Especially because it's split up in 2. I think it's really interesting that they're gonna have it on TV. I think you could get some really good ratings.
Mm-hmm. Robert,
I think it's a good marketing strategy. They can split it across 2 weeks. They can do what they did with Bash at the Beach. They have promised every championship would be defended. I like it.
All right, so I think it'll be interesting. I think it's a good move. At this point, I don't see NXT having that thing that could edge past AEW. I see them getting close in terms of some things that they probably have in their back pocket after this weekend's big In Your House. But this is a smart move by AEW in the summer, which tends to be a time even without the pandemic when ratings can take a weird dip, especially in the middle when you see people go on vacations and patterns would be different. But who knows what those patterns are now? Because I would say a lot of the reasons why you could say wrestling is like this a lot with the ratings now is because of what's going on, and especially the news this week too. So I'm not taking too much weight in the ratings, especially this week and the next week or so. I don't think everyone should look at him too closely like that. What's something that you think maybe people didn't feel too hot about? You told me what you liked on AEW. What was not clicking for either one of you?
I think the whole Sean Spears thing. I'm kind of like over him. I thought he was going to figure himself out already, but I get it. It's a journey. It's a process. But one thing that I really did love is Britt Baker.
Oh my God.
Rolls Royce in her wheelchair. She had like a backstage segment of her training in a wheelchair doing the bare minimum. And it was fantastic. Probably the best thing I've seen Britt Baker do so far, besides wrestle.
Britt Baker is making money as a character. Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone are the best thing on AEW television, bar none. Like, it's not even close. Britt Baker's trying to push herself out the ramp. She can't do it with the trainer and Rebel cheering her on. Tony Schiavone comes out. She's like, come on, Britt. And up she goes. Britt could do it. Big Swole wrestles Nyla Rose. Great match. Fantastic stuff from both women. And Swole starts talking, and Britt Baker gets Rebel to ram the Rolls Royce into the barricade and threaten Big Swole, who then grabs a chair and tries to go after an injured Britt Baker, who then gets Rebel to scurry her off. Britt Baker is making money.
And the Rolls Royce is not even a Rolls Royce. It's like a golf cart.
It's a pickup. It's like a pickup. And she's in the flatbed in the wheelchair. It's just the greatest thing. She is making money.
So overall, pretty good episode this week of AEW.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty great. 8.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So what are you guys giving it here?
8
out of 10. Out of 10. You give it an 8. Robert gives it an 8. That's better than I thought he was going to be because he had a lot to bitch about. Apparently,
so much smack.
Apparently, wrestlers bleeding is something that's shocking to Robert. He just can't handle it.
I care for their well-being, guys.
True, but I think bleeding now in a pandemic is a little bit questionable, but that's just my take. That's just my personal taste, but I don't hold it against somebody to do it because people respond to it. So more than enough fans get into that. Blood equals green. So Robert gave it an 8. What do you give it an 8 as well, Iridian?
Yeah, I was thinking 8, probably 8.5.
Strong numbers. NXT had quite the episode tonight. They had a handful of different things. They had to kind of bury down the hatches on a lot of different things that are loose-ended for this Sunday's NXT TakeOver in your house. We knew we were getting Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream for the title, but that the match would take place in a special location. So a lot of people thought we're getting some type of cinematic match. Now, it appears that the match could be already filmed. We got a prime target segment. These are just kind of like vignettes. They blend together about the two different sides heading into a match. They did it with the Triple Threat, which will be this Sunday with Io Shirai, Charlotte Flair, and Rhea Ripley. All of them training and preparing for the matches in very different ways, very cinematic styles. Really liked it. Io Shirai somehow is in a pool and talking to the camera while underwater. Very weird. Cut to Rhea Ripley waking up and making a protein shake. And then Charlotte training in the ring saying, people telling me I don't go here, right? Was something that she referenced from Bianca Belair saying, and she goes, no, I made here. There's no here without me. And I was like, oh, Charlotte putting down the gavel here. People don't like Charlotte, but she's been having some of the best matches in WWE for quite some time here. Other people chiming in with their thoughts here on AEW with their scores, giving 7.5. People right around the score, you guys gave it. Laura Rock gave it an 8.6. Laura The Rock, that's what I will now call her, very frequent fan of the show. Laura The Rock. So a lot of people were positive on AEW, but NXT overall, I really liked it. I didn't think there was a ton of outstanding matches, but a bunch of good angles were cut tonight through matches, and one really good, emotional, strong bell-to-bell action match for sure. Other things I did enjoy the show, they're developing something here with the brand of Robert. I think this brand with him is something different in terms of him being a manager who can't get people to win matches. He didn't help Aaliyah. She lost to Santana Garrett. I thought that was a cool little underline middle ground angle. I love the triple threat tag team match. We had a mystery team, and the winning team will get to face Imperium this Sunday for the tag team titles. And it looked like that team would be Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, the brawling transatlantics here. And I'm very fond of them. And we had Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish, and Roderick Strong in one corner. Who's this mystery team? A spaceship is in the entrance. And we get two men in silver costumes, sexy silver costumes, strutting their way like the most sexiest version of Tesla astronauts we could have. Who are these sexy astronauts? It, of course, is Breezango, Fandango, and Tyler Breeze. They come out a banger match outside of the main event. This is my favorite thing on the show. I loved it. They had some really, really cool stuff reminding you that they can be ridiculous and be really, really fun. And Fandango making sure to twerk his butt in a spaceship outfit directly in front of the camera with Tyler Breeze's head underneath his butt, like on the ring apron like this. So I thought it was very sexual, needed sex appeal on NXT, and just a banger match. They beat the snot out of each other. I don't know what Oney Lorcan does, but this guy winning a match, I just love it. I don't know what it is about his ring presence. I really, really enjoyed it here. Scott George texting in saying NXT was really good tonight. I agree. There was a lot of loose ends with the pay-per-view this weekend, but I thought they did a lot of different things to make it seem fresh. This doesn't seem like an absolute a common thing here with WWE outside of their main pay-per-views, like the big four, is you get to a pay-per-view and you're like, I'm intrigued. I'm in the storyline, but I don't want to think it's going to be good. And then it's good, and then the pay-per-views be good. And there's something they throw at you. And there were a lot of curveballs they threw this week for NXT TakeOver that I really, really liked. Breezango being in this position out of nowhere, I'm okay with, because I think Lorcan and Birch can always be in the mix and can always get those tag belts. So I was not opposed to it. And it was different. It wasn't, they caught you off guard and they gave you something you liked anyway. The main event was, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've been a fan of this storyline. I think it's maybe the best WWE storyline that they have on television. And I think universally it's gotten good praise, even though a lot of people are like, I don't think you should turn this into a storyline. At first, they did. Drake Maverick was one of the many superstars about a month ago that were released from the company in cost-cutting measures. And that is legitimate. As far as we know, that is 100% legitimate, because a lot of people thought that was not legitimate. Now, he was announced for this NXT Cruiserweight tournament to interim to crown a champion. They have Jordan Devlin over in the UK. He can't get out of there, so they needed a new champion. They bring in a bunch of different 205 live stars that they do have here in North America, including the debut of El Hijo del Fantasma. And he had a way of getting all the way to the finals. Drake Maverick somehow, in the tournament, they let him be in the tournament even though he's released. He gets to the finals through a triple threat match to kind of extend it. That was every single match, every single pinfall. You're like, but you'd think, they're just going to let him get to the finals. But it didn't matter, because you were emotionally invested in Drake Maverick, not only fighting for a title, but fighting for his job. This guy was a GM on 205 Live and he wanted to wrestle, but I'll be the GM because that's what I got to do to get ahead. It was a great emotional match. And we've seen this happen, and I thought, we haven't seen it in a couple weeks. We're going to have this. The random mass luchadors in suits attacking folks backstage. They attacked Fantasma, but every time they tried to attack him, they couldn't get to pull him in the cars. They've pulled in several superstars who we have not seen since. This is kind of like their luchador dark order, if you will, but we don't know who these people are or what they're doing. We have no idea what they've been doing. It's been going on for months now, since February, Robert? How long have they been doing that?
Yeah, I think it's about February. They still had fans in the crowd when they were doing it.
Yes. So they still had fans when they were doing this. Yeah. Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors. I need all of them. Dr. Pepper, pay me. Moving ahead. I was just thinking, once they came out, I was like, this is a banger match. They're going left and right. Drake Maverick survived getting powerbombed outside of the ring on the floor. Okay. And every single time he's kicking out. He's in a Boston crowd. He's like, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. And he's yelling, and people are banging out. They're banging on the hockey boards. They have the hockey boards, all the NXT trainees around him. These are all people that work with him and love him. Drake, you can't lose. You got to fight. I don't care about Fantasma. Drake, I'm marking, okay? They got me. I've been watching this my whole life, all right? I've always liked Drake. But I never loved him. Tonight, you loved him. Isn't that what wrestling's supposed to do? They got me. I don't care if it was easy to see. This guy delivered on the angle 120%, giving everything in his box. Is he the best wrestler in the world? No, but he's one of the best performers. He put the sizzle on the steak tonight. And Fantasma is absolutely great. The interference happens. Drake sees him, runs through the ropes, and tackles them before they can even touch Fantasma. He doesn't want them to get involved in this. He beats him up. I'm Drake. I'm not going to have this. I don't care how small I am. Get back in the ring. Bam, super kick. Bam, super kick. Gets the Phantom Driver, and the dream is done. And that's it. And they let him celebrate, and he's in the ring. And I was just looking at the clock, and I was like, it is 8:57. What's going to happen here? Because it was taking a while to get out of the ring. And they've done that shot before where the guy is heading out and, Cedric Alexander, you were great in the Cruiserweight Classic tournament. And you're not signed to WWE, but the whole crowd wants, no, sign him. You remember that? In the Cruiserweight? I was like, he's going to get a contract. Someone's going to come out and give him a contract. If it isn't Steven Regal, it's going to be Triple H. And boom, coming up from the right side of the screen comes Triple H, puts his arm around him, and you can see he has the envelope on the other side. He has the black fold-out case on the other side. And he puts his arm around it, and then he slaps on his chest. Oh, no. He signs they have to open up the pages. And it looked like a legitimate contract. I don't know. It looked like, if you look at it, it was like 4 pages. So I was like, those got to be more than 4 pages, but it wasn't just like one of those hokey kayfabe ones where it's just like big print, like title match on this day. It looked like a big thing. And I was just like, oh, wow. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people are angry about this, that maybe this could have been a way to use releasing people as an angle. But I think he kind of predated this. He was going in this direction beforehand. Something makes me think if they weren't going to do an angle where he was getting fired, they were going to do something where if he didn't win the tournament, he had to leave WWE, or he said he would do that. I don't know for sure, but I just loved it. I just love this angle. I think it's the best thing that NXT has done in a while. I mean, we have a backlot brawl. I didn't even touch on that. We're going to have that on Sunday. They're going to do this really, really cool match, but I just love this. They've built up to the pay-per-view well. I wish Drake had a match at the pay-per-view. I wish they did this at the pay-per-view. It was that good. But I'm also good on WWE for doing this on TV. As I think the network is going to have some cool stuff. And they're going to do Cole versus Dream, and that's a big match. They're going to do Charlotte, Io Shirai, and Rhea Ripley. They're going to do some cool stuff on this pay-per-view. And I think there'll be some surprises on it as well. And I'm looking forward to it. But this is just a feel-good angle. And I think we need, especially now, I mean, wrestling is already an escape, but we need a feel-good story. And Drake is a feel-good story. They made him. I think he's going to be 10 times the star he's ever been for WWE. And he's going to be in the ring, and he's going to tell some great stories. He reminded me of Rey Mysterio in that way, where he's a guy that you think can beat the odds. And they let him beat the odds. And he didn't win the match, but I didn't care. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Loved it. I'm giving tonight's NXT a 9.5 because the story was that good. The matches were fine. The matches are as good as NXT does all the time. But this is a 9.5. If NXT can make me feel this satisfied every single week, I'll watch it live every single week.
That sounds
that
really
good.
Wholesome. It sounded like wholesome.
I just watched it. I just watched it. It was on Twitter. Wow, what a 5-star moment. Would have made for a hell of a pay-per-view moment, but really, really good. I don't know how long they had this in the works. I don't care. Anybody in the comments.
Isn't clear. It wasn't clear. It wasn't even. I'll say this honestly. Us at WrestleZone, if this is something where we knew he was going to be in this tournament, where they had a round robin thing where if he didn't win, if he didn't have a good record in 3 matches, he'd be eliminated. He found a way to win that. He went 2-1, I believe. And then coming out of that, he had to do a triple threat. And coming out of it, he had to do another match. And they drew it out well. They didn't draw it out too long. And it was definitely something where it was known. Everybody in the industry knew he was the guy who got let go. So it was odd that they would go with him. But I also think it was something where there was some storyline they were going to do with him. He was going to be involved in this tournament in a way to bring him up. And they brought up a lot of people. Fantasma now is a legitimately great wrestler who has a lot of great moves. And you believe is a great luchador. Guys who didn't win the match, didn't win this tournament, look good tonight. Swerve and Tony Nese tonight had some good stuff tonight involving Jack Gallagher. I like that the 205 Live guys are on NXT. I think it's a much better platform from them than 205 Live, though I think 205 Live is a show that should exist if you just want another hour of wrestling. Do want to talk about this, the Backlot Brawl. Have you seen the pictures of this? They did a Prime Target feature on Velveteen Dream. They did one kind of cut back and forth between Adam Cole having a very ritzy dinner in his designer suit with his bros, the Undisputed Era, drinking champagne and having my compliments to the chef. Let's celebrate me being a year-long champion. I'm the greatest NXT champion of all time. Here is the belt at the table. Ooh, does the restaurant let you bring that into the restaurant? Is that allowed? Can you bring in trophies? Whatever. I guess you're tipping, right? Tip. Hey, if you go out to a restaurant this weekend, they're open in your state, phase 3.
You have to tip extra.
Yeah, you better be tipping phase 6. That's what you better be doing, all right?
I have it on authority that the only reason they even got in to such a fine restaurant is because Britt Baker, I don't know if you know this, is a dentist.
The only reason that Adam Cole is the NXT champion for this long is because if he would leave and he would go with his girlfriend at AEW, Cody could destroy NXT if he wanted to push the button, but he doesn't because he's nice. Someone said that on the internet, I think.
It was so good.
Yeah. Somebody says that on the internet, right? So they're doing this Prime Target thing, and the thing I liked about it a lot, I liked about this quite a bit, was they cut back to Velveteen Dream. They do all the talking heads. They have Pat McAfee, they have Sam Roberts, and Pat McAfee makes this great point. He's the Dennis Rodman of NXT. He's eccentric, he's flamboyant. A lot of people have questions about him. What is he doing outside of the ring? All these different things, right? And the way he dresses, right? And here he is rollerblading. He's rollerblading into the parking lot where he got assaulted by Adam Cole. And he says, "You remember this, Adam? You assaulted me in this parking lot while I'm on rollerblades." It was just it was like, if he was doing it, if he was just walking into the parking lot, it wouldn't matter. Because it'd be like the other guy is eating steak with his bros in a designer outfit saying, "I've been the NXT champion for a year." What are you going to do to come back to that? I'm going to maniacally rollerblade through a parking lot. And it was just a great visual. And I was like, when are they going to tell me where this match is going to be? And they dropped this kind of out of focus image. You saw enough of it to know what it is. All right. You remember the Iron Circle match? You've ever heard of this, Iridian?
No.
Robert, I think you're a little bit more familiar with this.
Yeah. So basically this is a match where it's going to be a circle of cars, but unlike other parking lot brawls, Iron Circle matches, there's going to be a ring. Mm-hmm. And essentially the cars will just be acting as inanimate lumberjacks.
Yeah. Oh. So they just have cars around a ring. It looks really, really cool. They showed like an image and it was sort of out of focus, so you didn't get a complete idea of it. They did tease earlier, like Dexter Lumis. They asked him, how are you got involved with these Undisputed Era goons outside of this match. What are you going to do? So I was wondering how they would separate him, or at least make him involved. He's a guy who's an artist. Robert, a few years ago, I saw Dexter Lumis drawing things, and he would do characters. He can do characters of different people. What is the word? Caricatures?
Caricatures?
Yeah, I can never remember that. And so I was like, I remember the Simpsons bit, like, hey, you like dune buggies? Everybody likes dune buggies. He just draws everyone in a dune buggy. So they go to him, and of course, because he's a silent serial killer, he turns and he starts drawing something, and they're like, what are you doing? And they come back 20 minutes later after a match, and he's drawing a picture of himself driving a car with the Undisputed Era guys all bound up in the back of a car. And of course, we assume he will be involved in this backlot brawl match. Dream versus Adam Cole for the title. What do you guys think of this? Because something makes me think Adam Cole's not getting out of this match with the title.
I think it's put up or shut up time. Winner gets the belt. Loser goes to another brand. I think it's time, because there's not much else for Cole to do. Dream has done it all. There's nowhere else to go. This isn't the match I assumed either one would leave on, but this is the one that I think one of them has to leave on. And I got to think it's time for the Era to go and wreak havoc somewhere else.
Now, Robert, do you think Adam they would bring him up just by himself? They would just leave you on Undisputed Era?
No.
I think bring the whole faction to one show would be a little bit more impactful.
And if I had to guess, I mean, over on SmackDown, you've got guys like Brian, you've got guys like AJ, Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle is gonna have some fun on the blue brand. I think that's more their speed. I don't know. if Cole gets out of this, where does he go? He's been champion for a year. What happens now?
Now, Robert, I'm not going to say his name, but you will. Your friends at a certain website reported this week.
Oh, hold on. Are you talking about the same friend that also broke the news of the Backlot Brawl? That friend? That friend who also reported that, yes, there will be other stars moving from NXT to either Raw or SmackDown. Yes,
he's no friend of mine.
He might not
I'm waking up the people in my building. He's no friend of mine.
He might not be a friend of yours, but he is a friend of mine and a friend to those who like good wrestling reporting. Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, did report that other stars would be moving from NXT to Raw or SmackDown. Wrestle Talk added that Dijakovic is likely penciled in for Raw. I like that fit. Lots of big athletic men on Raw. Chelsea Green is definitely going over there. I don't know. I got to think the era's got to be in that club.
I think so too. But if they're going to do that, I think you got to put that belt on Dream. I think you got to put that belt on Dream and really roll your dice with him. I think he's a very unique choice as a champion. I think he's very much an interesting character. You can't say he's a boring character. WWE does really, really well when they choose the character-heavy players up top. They did this with The Rock, Stone Cold, and I don't know. It's hard to say now because, with the pandemic, we really don't know who gets that live pop with the crowds. We kind of have a controlled audience of the trainees. They love the good guys, love the bad guys. Where's the organic pop? It's just nice because we kind of have that. Now we kind of have a metronome of the crowds again. This is the first time where I thought I'm used to the crowds. I'm just used to the crowds being back. Last week it was there's people cheering at a wrestling show again, and it's WWE is fantastic, as if it never happened before. With him, it's kind of hard to know where the fans sit with him. There was that scandal with him, about 2 months ago, but we haven't heard a single thing about that since it happened. That. And a lot of people have refuted whether it's legitimate. I think if it was legitimate, we would have heard more about it.
Obviously, we would have heard more.
We would have heard a lot more. Reminder to people, it's very, very easy to take an audio clip and edit it. Iridian, I know that. That's a lot easier to take an audio clip and edit that and put it over something that you say is a text from somebody. If anybody ever sends you a video of a text they get from somebody and say, is this, you can, that is very easy to mess around with. I'm not defending his honor, but I'm just saying we would have heard a lot more about it if it was legitimate. But there is that risk. If you do go to this is a guy who also did have a legal issue last year. There was a legal problem.
Fightful broke that one too.
Yeah. So, all right, Robert.
Okay.
Robert, Fightful broke one. Okay, but who's not paying you right now? Who, Robert?
He said.
Technically,
your hands are full of WrestleZone money, but you got Sean Ross Sapp coming out of your mouth.
If we want to get real, Kevin, I do this show for the love of the game. Nobody's paying me for this one.
I love the back of my hand. And I get down to Florida fast enough. That's what I'll say. So, what other superstars do you think that we don't hear about moving that you'd like to see move? You could move them. Maybe you want to move somebody over to NXT. There's plenty of guys. If you're moving some people out of NXT, I think you got to move some people there too.
Bronson Reed. And this is a weird one. I am a fan of Bronson Reed. I want him to
Thick Boy was in action tonight. Him and Trevor Lee had some action.
He's a big, thick boy, and the thick boy needs to be moved to another brand where he can be utilized and appreciated for his ability. He's amazing, and I think Bronson Reed's going to be a star in 5 years. You mark my words.
Interesting there. If you guys in the chat have somebody you'd like to see move in the WWE brands, let us know. I want to know what you guys think about this here. Some other news, Impact Wrestling provoked the interest of the internet despite everything going on in the world with this week's episode of Impact Tuesday Night on Access TV, teasing for their upcoming Slammiversary pay-per-view that a recently released WWE superstar in a news report would be making his presence known. They flashed the images of several superstars, including one Rockstar Spud, a.k.a. Drake Maverick, who I don't think we're going to see on that pay-per-view now after tonight's occurrences. We got to see Luke Gallows and Anderson, and we got to see several superstars that were released. And they kind of noted that one of these people was going to be heading there. Do we have an idea of who this person may be.
Yeah. It's probably EC3.
What makes you think it's EC3?
Iridian Fierro just burying the lead here. Yeah, I was gonna be a little more playful with that and talk about how his last name is Carter and a former person used to run that company. It's got to be EC3.
Oh,
And
I'm saying because Drake Maverick posted a picture with EC3 and himself on CM. Like Drake Maverick's face was on CM Punk's body next to EC3. And I was
the infamous blowing a kiss at Vince McMahon CM Punk picture. One of the best wrestling shows I've ever been to, by the way. If you want to watch a show where a crowd just takes over a show, go watch Money in the Bank 2011. I was there. It's one of the best WWE shows of all time. Just go watch it. If you just want a loose show to watch, it's insane. Just insane crowd reactions to everything. I think EC3 going back to Impact would be a big deal. He's a completely underutilized guy. I think he was a guy who was absolutely, I don't want to say wasted in WWE, but like definitely somebody who they just fell through the cracks. You know, like
Kevin don't want to say it, so I'll say it. He was wasted in WWE.
I don't think he was wasted on NXT. I think he was wasted on Raw.
On the main roster,
I think in NXT, that's the point I was going to get at. I think on Raw, where did this guy have a presence? And then on NXT, this guy looked like he was bound for the world, you know, bound to take over everything. He's been doing some weird stuff on the internet, though. So I'll say he's definitely been trying to keep his name out there in a very interesting way. Laura The Rock wants to see Eric Young back in TNA. Excuse me, it's called TNA Wrestling now. Is that what we're still calling it? I think Eric Young being back in Impact Wrestling would be the perfect fit.
I think, TNA Wrestling, it's kind of got a dirty word over the little bit of the time, but I think it's coming back strong. And Eric Young would be a hell of a hand to kind of come back into Impact, or if they want to rebrand it as TNA. I don't know if they ever will, but they are using the TNA belt, so that there is something there. There's also the fact that Anderson and Gallows had this countdown clock, and it actually expires day of Slammiversary. Like, it could be anyone, but kudos to Impact for getting this little teaser in and keeping themselves in the conversation. Like, they say cockroaches will survive the nuclear holocaust, and actually, it's cockroaches and Impact Wrestling. These dudes survive it all, and I love them, and it's amazing.
Michael Laborin saying EC3 versus Moose. Book it. Moose is saying that he is the champion of Impact Wrestling, and he has a belt, but the actual Impact World Champion is not him. It's Tessa Blanchard. Now, NXT, AEW, WWE Raw, SmackDown, all your televised Raw shows from WWE and AEW, they're in a closed set circumstance with controlled crowds. The pandemic has forced them into the situation now for months. Impact Wrestling has followed suit. They've been filming in Nashville, Tennessee. The issue here is we have a champion of one of those promotions that is not present. Now, Tessa Blanchard has said doesn't want to be on the show because of the risk of exposure to COVID-19. Other people are doing it with mitigated risk as much as they possibly can. As a phrase that you're going to start hearing now, like new normal and uncertain times is mitigated risk. You're going to see that now. And I have to think that at some point, Impact Wrestling has to decide whether or not they want to take this belt off of her, because they have this kind of like pseudo champion out there on TV. And it's another thing where Impact is sort of in a hole because of a difficult situation with the talent. I don't blame them for it. I don't blame them for it. But at some point, if you're Tessa, do you relinquish the title?
I think if they were going to, they would have. But I do have to agree. It's starting to be like, just relinquish the belt. If you want to get back on that track, just do it later.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Iridian?
Yeah, if they wanted to take it away, they could have easily like Sami Zayn the belt away, and had like a tournament.
Zayn the belt.
Yeah, they could have Sami Zayned it.
They could have Sami Zayned it here. I don't mind the Sami Zayning of the belt because on SmackDown, the Intercontinental title tournament has been very, very entertaining. I've enjoyed it. Despite what other people think. All right, so we'll move ahead here. We'll find out about all the controversial things that aggravate people in the wrestling world. But remember, this is just the wrestling world. So this is just a show. So as much as you're mad about these things, remember it is a show. And real life right now is a little bit more
shit.
Yeah, it's shitty. It's very shitty and stressful. Iridian and I live in Chicago, which was already a hotspot for COVID-19. And we're getting into the summer. And Robert, I know you've never been to the Windy City, but Iridian, I know this. You've heard this phrase before, Iridian. If it was summer in Chicago all the time, no one would leave. But we have one of the most brutal winters of a major city in North America. But that was bad enough as it is. So we have the virus to deal with, which is scary. And we have a lot of cases here in Illinois and Cook County. And then we have these protests, which broke out this weekend. And they were all very ethically sound protests. And then we have a lot of what you will see, and you've noted, is there's violence, there's looting, and it is, I would say, multiple issues happening at the same time. I think duality is something that you can say right now is going on. And we've had a few wrestlers chime in on this, some of them a little bit more articulate than others, and some of them a little bit more aggravating and I would say less informed than others. And I think that's all I really need to touch on. I think the thing we need to focus on is empathy and caring for other people who are hurting. And that is a universal statement. You can say that about a lot of people on other sides of this issue. And I can share something. I thought of not talking about this on a microphone or and I'm on 101 WKQX. I had to be on air Sunday morning. It's the weirdest time I've ever been on the radio. I was very, very scared to be on the radio when the virus started, and then it became something we could live with. But I don't think this is something we can live with much longer and live on our conscience with it much longer. The part I can share that is not my personal connection to it, but is very indirect and it is very, very scary. As I grew up on the south side of Chicago, there's a lot of violence in the streets. There's a lot of very conflicting, tense situations involving police and people that are in marginalized communities like the African-American community. And I'm not speaking for them. I'm speaking for someone who comes from a family that has a lot of police officers in it. It's a very, very stressful time to be in a family like that, because all you know is that your family members go out there and do the right thing. And you hope and you pray that everyone does the right thing. And you mean that by everyone. It was a very violent situation in which a lot of people on either side of the issue got hurt. And it isn't me saying, doing all he's this, he's taking that side. I'm not. The side I'm taking is do the right thing. Black lives matter. People's lives matter. You shouldn't be mad at someone for having that stance. It isn't that big of a deal. Human decency and the call for justice is not something you need to debate. like that's all I got to tell you. And I'm saying that as someone who comes from a family that is rooted in the police force. And this is something I hear from my family all the time. And I pray for everyone affected by it, indirectly and indirectly. And I think you just got to emphasize with other people who are dealing with some really, really serious life-changing problems. No one should have to go through what George Floyd went. No one should have to go through. His family shouldn't have to deal with that. And I don't think that's debatable. And if people are that angry about it, they're that angry about it. And then we can debate everything else later on. You know, think about that. Just take a pause before you have to go tweet about the next thing. That's why we weren't on air yesterday. That's why we didn't have a show. WrestleZone still ran. We still have to cover things. But I asked, and everybody else was like, yeah, I think taking the day off was a good idea. And I felt like it was a good idea. And I hope maybe you took the day off a little bit from some things too. So it's just stressful time. I hope I didn't say anything that aggravated anyone. But if I did, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. I think you can do the right thing and have opinions, and it's okay. You don't have to say something just to aggravate somebody that makes you feel better. Because if you're doing that, I don't think you were trying to do anything for the right side anyway. You're just trying to piss somebody off. So, like some people in elected offices right now at the moment. Anybody else want to talk?
Iridian?
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on, and like you said, we do have to have empathy. As a brown person, I do empathize, and I do follow with my brothers and sisters of everything that's been going on. I can't tell someone how to feel, and it's just something that's brought up a lot. It's not just one thing at this point. It's a lot of things. So I hope that the issues do get addressed properly. There's a lot of things that we have fought for, before, and have been successful. I'm not, when it comes to these riots that have happened, but that's just where my head's at.
I think that's fair. I think that's it's very good. I guess I should say something. As a person who comes from a mixed race family, has mixed race nieces and nephews, everything I'm seeing scares the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
That being said, there's so much good you can do in the world. And I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of craziness. But I would encourage all of you to just keep doing good. And we're going to get through this, because if you look at our history, we keep changing and growing. So keep changing and growing.
Can I use a wrestling analogy?
Sure.
It's easy to be a pretty okay heel, right? In wrestling, it's easy to be like an okay heel. Go out, make fun of local sports team, get your heat, right? Get beat up by the babyface. It's really hard to be a great babyface. It's really hard to be that. It's easy to go out and wear the jersey and say, "Hey, I'm from here, cheer me." You're right. Like, it's easy to do it, but to be the guy that people want to pay to see and be a main event and you win their heart over, that isn't easy. And here's the thing. Here's the part that's easy. Those little things that can change someone's life, those are easy now, and they're easier than they've ever been. In terms of things you can do online. I know there's a lot of people that want to go out and protest, or maybe they don't want to go out and protest, but they want to help somebody out that's affected by these different things. You may have a lot of different reasons why or why not you can't do that. A lot of people are still concerned about the virus. Completely reasonable. A lot of things you can do online. Man, you can be the babyface in that life. You can be the hero, comes and saves the day, and I don't, I could bring up a bunch of different wrestling scenarios so people save the day. But let's pull the steel chair out of the bad guy's hands, and let's do the right thing here. And it doesn't matter who you think the bad guy is. There's somebody on your street that needs that help, and there's somebody on your block, or there's somebody in your town, or maybe in the next neighborhood over. So go looking for that. Inform yourself before you get into an argument on the internet. Those are so easy to get into now. And I can tell you, as someone who is a social media producer for a large pro wrestling website, it is an exhausting process. I didn't post anything yesterday. I read things yesterday, and I read very strongly worded things. So other people, Herman Takar saying, I tried to get, what is this? Herman with this all the time. I try to go away from media. Wrestling is a great escape for me. And Herman, I hope that is. I hope I didn't think Raw was great this week, but Robert, you and I watched. It was a very fun escape of things. Very fun escape from a very long weekend. Maybe that's why I loved the thing with Drake this week. It was just like, this is good timing. Thank you for doing this on TV. I didn't want to wait until Sunday. Thank you. Thank you.
I just, this Wednesday night was probably the most I'd not watched the news in quite a while, and it was a nice little escape. I will say, to echo Kevin's sentiments, there's plenty that you can be doing to be the babyface on the internet right now. Stay informed. Just help in any way you can, because we're gonna change, we're gonna grow, we're gonna experience new viruses. We know we didn't see COVID-19 coming. That was a run-in like we've never seen. But you know what? We're always gonna need good people. So try to be one of them.
Robert, you made it sound like there's gonna be a COVID-20. Like it's gonna.
I know. Do you know something that we don't?
Come on, Robert. Robert, what do you know? Robert, do you? We're going into internet. We're going into internet conspiracy already. You ready to go into? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Internet conspiracy blast. Robert, do you have the vaccine? Give us the vaccine, Robert. Like all that ridiculous stuff. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You know someone on the online who's being stupid. Don't talk to that person. There's a lot of people that are just trying to provoke reactions right now. What we do on the internet is we're trying to entertain you and talk about a wrestling show that we watch together. We're trying to do sports talk radio about sports entertainment. So thank you for enjoying the show. We hope wherever you're listening or watching, you had fun with it. Reminder, show's now on Spotify. Go subscribe. You want to listen to the new Lady Gaga album? Go 2 clicks over and just search WrestleZone, and we're right there. Lady Gaga, does she listen to the show? I don't know. All right, Lady Gaga, if you are listening to the show, I would love to have you on the show. All right.
She does, you know what? nice return to form. I enjoyed it.
It was fantastic. That album
I haven't
was
listened.
so great.
I have not listened.
It's a cinematic experience. Cinematic experience.
There you go.
Once the hands come out, Iridian is
so good.
I mean, there's a lot bad, but then Ariana Grande and Lady Gaga just drop the track and change just the view.
Okay, my favorite one is the one with Elton John.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Hot take. One of the most disappointing live acts I have ever seen.
Really?
Ariana Grande. One of the most disappointing. I'm sorry.
Lala?
I got two words.
All right, what Ariana Grande?
Okay, Lala was tragic, but if you would have gone to her
because I got
concert,
two words. Backing tracks.
That's because
right?
That's because you're at a festival. That's because you're at a festival, though.
Yeah.
Oh, well, just no.
If it was her own concert,
yeah,
it would have been a whole different
reason to be good. Yeah, more reason to be on top.
No, she's running in for the cameo. When you go to pay her and just to see her, I'm sure she brings it a lot better than she brought it to Lollapalooza.
Okay. Sure. I was the whole time I was just like, what is this karaoke? Like, what are we doing here? Because she's an incredible singer. So it's a whole nother debate.
Trained in like Broadway.
Whole other debate. But yeah, if you want to listen to the new Lady Gaga album, 2 clicks over, you can get us. We're also available on iTunes, iHeart, TuneIn, all those different apps. Also now available as well on YouTube. So go check it out. What's going on over on WrestFriends? You guys have the podcast on Spotify.
Yes, we have the podcast on Spotify and iTunes, and there's a new episode that's going to come out on Friday. We just uploaded a new video today talking about, everything that's been happening. We talked about Shida as the new women's champion for AEW, who we think is going to take the belt from Cody. There's just a lot that's going on in our YouTube channel and our podcast. So go check it out at WrestFriends. We're literally everywhere, Instagram, TikTok. I just made a TikTok. It's so difficult to be on TikTok.
Does WrestleZone need a TikTok? This has been a debate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like I would watch you guys on TikTok.
We got to have a great content strategy. You know what I
mean? We're not good at dances, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
Y'all better start practicing some choreo.
Choreo. You're already giving it an abbreviation here. So thank you guys so much for talking about it. I do want to remind you, today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. Robert and I will be live later at Thursday in the afternoon. For you on the podcast side, you'll get that late Thursday night going into the weekend. The Thursday episode, I don't think they've been lacking, but sometimes we have a lighter news week. All right. So we have a NXT TakeOver pay-per-view to run down tomorrow. But Robert, I've been asking you, and I'll get your take on this. Mm-hmm. He is taking on the Trivia Comprehension Crusher. All right. I'm going to see, as a man who watches all this wrestling, can he comprehend everything that happened this week or in the week that was in the past of wrestling? So I'll have to fling him into the past, into the present, possibly into the future. Everything going on right now, in and out of real time in wrestling. Can he comprehend it and defeat the Trivia Crusher? That is what we will find out tomorrow on the podcast. If you're listening, this is the 3rd of June, the June 4th episode. We will find out if Robert the Fun Killer DeFelice can defeat the Trivia Comprehension Crusher. And something makes me think, as I program the Crusher, I don't think he can do it. Something makes me think he can't do it. I'm unleashing the Comprehension Crusher on him, and I don't think he can do it. Iridian, what do you think?
You know what? There's a lot of facts that Robert just stores up in his head, and he just knows the randomest things. Like, what was the theme song for the SummerSlam in 1990 something? Like,
True.
What?
True.
Like, who? I don't know. Maybe I think Robert's got a pretty good chance. I'm gonna give him a 1-up on that one, maybe.
Oh my God, Iridian! Usually you will bury DeFelice anytime you get a chance.
I know, but like when it comes to trivia and Robert, I'm a little scared. Well, if I ever had to go against trivia against Robert, I feel like I would just forfeit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do have I've been called an encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge in the past. So
okay, well you don't gotta go complimenting yourself now just because I said one nice thing about you.
Robert, who called you that?
A good buddy of mine up in Canada. No.
It's like Big Ed in 90 Day Fiance. He gave himself the nickname.
Well, listen, if you got to go around giving yourself names, then I'm a little worried about Big Ed. But I think I can conquer the Cranium Crusher. Or what is it?
The Cranium Crusher.
It's the Trivia Comprehension
You don't even know the name. You know what? I take it back.
I'm sorry. My head's in Kona Crush mode. I'm going to crush the Comprehension Crusher. And, maybe we'll eat some pineapples after. It's going to be a good time.
All right. We will find out on tomorrow's episode of the show. Go ahead once again and subscribe on your podcast app of choice, on Facebook, all that good stuff. Go ahead and give this video a like and share it with your friends in a wrestling group, wherever that may be. You're watching wrestling. You're staying safe. That's what we want you to do. All right. And please, when you watch wrestling, what do you do, guys? Who wants to take it? Who wants it? Iridian, you know what to do. Tell them what to do.
You enjoy it, WrestFriends. You enjoy wrestling.
Oh, got your branding in there at the end.
Look at that.
Look at